You lied to me, 'cause you said these coins wouldn't be used. You lied to me, but they will, but they will. You lied to me, 'cause you said that price would never move. You lied to me, but it will. But it will return up the banks, you know, return up the banks. We're going to go over a little bit of bank information today. It's Friday, everybody. How you doing out there? Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I pointed at you. I am Alphaneem. I pointed at the screen. Somebody out there was like, maybe I am Alphaneem. We're all a little Alphaneem, you know. We're going to begin here. This is on zcrypto.com. And it's titled, Crypto Whales Are Super Bullish on XRP. You don't say. Anybody who knows about what XRP really is, how are they not super bullish, man? I'm always super bullish on XRP. I go to sleep super bullish on XRP. I wake up super bullish on XRP. I exist super bullish on XRP. It's Friday. I'm feeling good. You guys feeling good out there? I know a lot of people got paid out there, you know, going out to have a little bit of fun. Have a little bit of fun for Alphaneem too. Don't forget me. Have a little bit of fun for me also. Okay, let's get back to the article. This guy's distracting me. You distracted me. Come on. I know you like to have fun, but we got to handle some business. We got to handle some business. It says here, Ripple's XRP moved to an intraday high of 40 cents on Wednesday, a daily gain of 4% and a weekly surge of 8%. According to CoinMarketCap, following a jump in large transactions, we've been covering that a lot. There's been a lot of massive transactions. We know what that's all about. I believe they're getting ready, right? If there's a positive outcome to this case, boom, right? That's the hope. No guarantees, but that's the hope. It says a report from Whale Alert shows transfers of 280 million XRP valued at $110 million. We've seen a lot of these types of things going on here. XRP defies Coinbase wallets delisting. Like I said, it doesn't matter what they do at this point. It really doesn't. They're playing both sides of the fence, in my humble opinion. I know I didn't clarify in the other video only because I thought everybody already was on the same page. But I know they said it's because of low usage. But my argument was that makes absolutely no sense when they have worse crypto than that, with worse usage than that currently listed. It's the same thing, I believe. I believe, was it I can't remember who said it. Was it New Anomaly or Old Man Crypto? We have so many brilliant members here on the members only section, but someone said the same thing that I was thinking. But yeah, so that reasoning didn't make any sense in my humble opinion. Low usage, but you know the utility, you know, I mean, there's so many other cryptos that are just dead and they don't get delisted. So that's why I didn't agree with that. But that doesn't make any difference at all. If people want XRP, the ones who know what it is, they're going to go get it. And there's no stopping them. When they first got taken off of all of these big exchanges, when XRP first got taken off, that didn't stop XRP, the XRP army, and none of this will stop it either. You know, but that's not going to stop the legacy system from trying. But let's continue on with the article here. Okay, I'm just going by the setup of the article as I give my thoughts. All right. So it says the crypto company has announced that it will remove XRP. We know all of this type of stuff here. Meanwhile, Ripple's general counsel is blaming the SEC for the collapse of BlockFi. We didn't cover that, but I did have that article. It says months after the lawsuit by the SEC, it says it was they had a $100 million deal. BlockFi is bankrupt. A $275 million loan is outstanding to FTX from BlockFi. So listen, we know that there's a lot of corruption there. There's a lot of connections between governmental entities and these big money, well, allegedly big money people. And so they do, it's a favor for a favor type of thing, right? And they will, you pay to certain people the right money, they will stunt the growth of your competitors, or they will carve out a pathway for you to win. It's like a rigged game, but we all know that, right? It's just a matter of, are these people going to be held accountable? That has yet to be seen. And the public can't allow people to play on their emotions. No, you have to have control over your emotions. Emotional discipline is very important. It's very important because people will use your emotions against you. as a tool, right? To control you, move you this way and that. If a person is able to make you sad or make you happy or make you angry, and they realize that and they're a bad actor, they will utilize that to manipulate you. So there's a lot of that going on right now. The public needs to hold people accountable. All right. I don't care how many media rounds you do. No, you did something wrong. You need to be held accountable, because any other person out there would be held accountable. So I feel that same way about any governmental official, any head of any large company. If you do something wrong, you should be held, your feet should be held to the fire, just like any normal person out there. All right. So yeah, so super bullish. XRP is always super bullish. Super bullish is super bullish. I don't know what that was. I had like a song in my head and it just got all scrambled up. It is what it is, you know. We make the best out of what we're presented with here. So now, this is an article on beincrypto.com. Ripple price prediction. All right, let's see what they're talking about here. Why 38 cents, the 38 cent area, is critical for XRP trend in the coming week. I disagree, right? My people already know I'm going to disagree. None of these little prices make sense. Let me tell you what is critical. When there's a positive outcome to the SEC case in XRP, boom, catapults up to $3, $4, right? People are starting to drool a little bit. Yeah, they are. Yes, their hands are getting real sweaty, but they hold on a little bit. This is what I see. Look, hundreds of people are always contacting me, letting me know their ideas and what they plan to do and such like that. So this is what I'm taking everything together when I say these things. They hold a little bit, right? For a little while longer. Starts to get to $6, $7. Now they're sweating. They're sweating. They're starting to read FUD articles, right? They're starting to read articles. Oh, it's going to go down. Their mind is starting to fracture and break. By $7 to $8, I've said this before, by $7 to $8, people are selling. People are selling. And there's some smart people. They're only going to sell a little bit, but there's some people they can't resist. They're like gamblers. You know this. They're selling everything. They're selling everything. This happened in the summertime and earlier this year. All those times where the markets got bloody and the markets dipped, and you had all these individuals coming out telling people, making videos and writing articles that literally the title says "sell now" with no like a clarification, you know. No specificity to like, oh, this is just a title. People really take that stuff to heart. And I saw people say, hey, I sold everything. You sold everything? So taking that into account, it will happen again. The people will sell everything only for XRP's price to keep going up. Now, I don't know how quickly that will happen, but there is absolutely no way XRP's price is stopping around $7 to $8, $10. Not going to happen. Then there's another psychological level. I mean, there's plenty of them, but these are the ones that I'm concentrating on based upon what I've seen, not just in crypto, but in the stock market. Oh my goodness, I'm bringing a lot of stock market experiences here. Retail is going to sell. That retail is going to be under pressure. And that XRP's hit $10, $13. Yeah. Significant amount of bags is going to be sold. And like I said, there's some wise individuals who are going to sell 25%, 50%, whole 50%. And they may stick to that. But for some people, that just sounds good, right? That sounds, oh, my whole 50. When you're staring at that money and the possibility it might go down, that's when you're really going to be tested. People are going to learn a lot about themselves and their ability to persevere. And I see the same thing happening with XRP. And it might go down a little bit. It's going to have its dips, its corrections. Boom, $20, $25, $30. This is just what I'm seeing, okay? This is just what I'm thinking. You don't have to agree with me. And of course, I believe it'll go even higher than that, but we're just going to concentrate on that. So just going off of what this article's title is, that's how I feel about all of this, right? What's critical for XRP. Once we defeat the SEC, and I believe firmly that we'll continue to stay up to date on those things, and we adjust accordingly. But that's just a few of my thoughts, a few of my experiences. Let's continue on here. So now we're going to get to a little bit of bank information. Okay. So We have so many big banks. We have to stay up to date on what's going on with these banks. Are they doing well? How much money are they bringing in? How much money are they sending in remittances and such? How much are they moving in interbank payments? Things like that. We'll get to those minute details soon enough. But let's begin here. We need to get an update on PNC, right? So a lot of banks soon are going to be putting out their quarterlies, giving up financial updates. Personally, I like to look at all of them. So that's what I'm going to do. So here, I just want to read you this little tidbit here. It says, PNC, this is from a while ago, but I just want to establish that it is true what I'm saying. That's why I'm going to read this now, okay? This is from March 2nd, 2021, but it's just to prove that what I'm saying is true. I'm going to put a little article there, but sometimes people, you got to understand, sometimes people in the comment section don't understand why I might reference an older article. It's just to establish the truth of what I'm saying. So that's why I had to clarify now, right? So there's no mistake about why I'm doing this. PNC is now one of several banks using Ripple as an alternative to SWIFT. As one of the 10 largest banks in the country, the launch of PNC is a big step for RippleNet. Commercial clients of the bank can now use the network to receive international payments almost instantly, thanks to Ripple's technology. Of course, all of that will increase exponentially, dramatically once the switch is flipped. And all of them are using it at the same time. They must all use it at the same time for the system to really function in the way that it is supposed to. At least that's what my understanding is. Okay. If someone has a different understanding, feel free to leave that comment down in the comment section. I would definitely appreciate that. So also, if you enjoy this video at any point, only if you enjoy it, I would appreciate it if you click that like button. All right. I humbly ask you. Now, let's continue on here. So we established PNC is utilizing Ripple. So this is on prnewswire.com. This was put out October the 14th, 2022. They're doing a great job. Make sure you check out PR Newswire. It's titled PNC reports third quarter 2022 net income of $1.6 billion. Let me say, let that just sink in. I just knocked my, I knocked my little fan over. I knock everything over here on the show, don't I? I knock my lamp over. I knock my fan over. My goodness. But let that sink in. This is the type of money we're talking about. This is the type of money we're dealing with when we're talking about XRP, Ripple, RippleNet, on-demand liquidity, any type of way that XRP can be utilized. Now imagine the interbank payments that PNC is going to be moving in the future, back and forth. And imagine what it's going to do to that price when you have a consistent value, high value, and a consistent volume. What is it going to do to that price? You tell me. But that's only in the third quarter. $1.6 billion. And it was $3.78 billion diluted. Let's read a little bit further here. Let's go down here. All right. They're doing very, very well as far as what I can see. It says here, quote, our third quarter results reflected continued strong momentum across the expanded PNC footprint, which obviously they're talking about. What is it? PNC Bank is the subsidiary. I think it's called PNC Financials. Is that what the main portion is called? I believe it's called PNC Financials, something like that, of which PNC Bank is a subsidiary. But let's continue on here. It says, we grew loans and revenue. This is great for us. We want all of that capital. We want their capital to grow. That's more liquidity that can flow through us, right? More value, rather, that can flow through us and continuing to grow into the future, which would make theoretically that price of XRP go up at some point. It says our net interest margin increased and expenses remained well controlled. I'm glad to hear that, resulting in substantial positive operating leverage. Our credit quality metrics and capital levels remain solid, and we continue to be well positioned for ongoing success. Now, every single bank we've been talking about, in conjunction with the usage or utilization of RippleNet or on-demand liquidity, they have all been winners. They have all been successful banks as far as what we can see, as far as what we can tell. They have all been successful. And I'll tell you something else, just random thought here. I was trying to get my hands on Attajari Wafa International Bank Offshore. All of that is one name, okay? Bank Offshore. And I'm working on it. I couldn't find their financials anywhere. That specific offering, I couldn't find the specific financials for that offering anywhere, but I'm still searching. We already did Morocco. We did Attajari Wafa Europe, but I'm on the trail. I'm hot on the trail of a lot of different stuff. So we'll see what I can dig up. All right. So I'm working hard behind the scenes. OK, here we go. Oh, also, if you didn't see the post that I made in the members only section, go to that members only section on my channel. Read that post. If you would kindly, I'm just kindly asking you. You don't have to. I'm humbly asking. Right. And then give me your thoughts in that comment section. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'll just leave it at that. Right. And why that's, I'll say this, why that post is important is about the value that could possibly be moved and the understanding of large powers. We'll just put it that way. Large powers that understand we could take all that value and we don't need them. And the world understands we could take all that value and they don't need them. So those powers are taking certain actions. Now, in that comment section under that post, just tell me if I'm thinking correctly about that. Maybe you have a different thought. I'm interested to hear. That's why I'm asking. OK, we're a team here. So let's huddle up. Income statements. Third quarter 2022 compared with second quarter 2022. Net income 1.6 billion increased by $144 million or 10%. That's pretty good. Next bullet point. Total revenue of $5.5 billion increased $433 million. Keep all of this in mind. This very successful large bank chose Ripple, chose XRP. So when you hear people saying XRP is chosen, it's true. It's true. This bank has massive influence, massive influence. So with that being taken into account, obviously there's going to be lesser banks that are in their network or under their control, or they're advised by such, or maybe they're supervised by such, or influenced by this particular type of bank, this large bank here. And they are also in the future going to step in and utilize RippleNet, possibly because this bank is using it. And they want to win as well. They want to grow exponentially. They want to save money. They want more capital to play around with. Everybody wants in on this. So that's my projection, right? But let's continue on here. It says $433 million or 8%, primarily due to higher net interest income. Net interest income of $3.5 billion increased $424 million. Later on in the video, we're going to get to a little bit of XLM news. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We got some good stuff over there. In that there's chapters involved. If you want to jump around, feel free to. OK. Or 14%. Driven by higher yields on interest earning assets and loan growth, partially offset by higher funding costs. Net interest margin of 2.82%. Non-interest income of 2.1 billion. My goodness. Increased modestly. Non-interest expense of 3.3 billion increased 36 billion. Or 1%, reflecting increased personnel expense to support. But hold on, wait, let me contrast that for a moment. Remember, once they're fully utilizing RippleNet, and I firmly believe they will use XRP in every possible way. They will use XRP moving as infrastructure, or XRPL rather, okay? For payroll, interbank payments, cross-border payments. I believe they will use it in every way possible. Why would you not? Why would you not? You're going to win in every possible way. You're saving money. You have extra capital to play with. So that will offset this. That will cut a lot of that down. So now, third quarter 2022 compared with second quarter 2022 balance sheet highlights. Average loans of $313 billion increased $8.2 billion. What happens when that value is moving across XRPL, if it moves across XRPL? And I believe that it will. What happens? What does it do to that price? You know, we have loan offerings. We have collateralized offerings already in the DLTs. It's not that far of a stretch to believe that this institution would also move that type of value across DLTs as well. Why would they not want to utilize something that's so beneficial? I think that they will. But while keeping that in mind, what does it do to that price? Muy linda, mi gente. Muy linda, mi gente. It's a beautiful thing. That price would raise. Raisito. It would raise. It's my humble opinion. Net loan charge-offs, $119 million. Average deposits of $439.2 billion. All right, we're going to stop there. There's so much more we could go into. But you guys can look into that on your own if you should so choose. It's looking very, very good right now. We have a lot more banks to go over. This was delicious in my humble opinion. I'm very excited. I think that price is going to explode whenever they choose to flip that switch. I can't wait. I hope it happens tomorrow. It's not gonna. I know it's not gonna happen tomorrow. I'm just saying that's how fired up I am. I hope it happens tomorrow. I'm ready. Now, let's move on to this here, right? So we covered an article yesterday. We have major CBDC activity in the Ukraine. I said we have to get a little bit more details on that. You know that Stellar was setting up all the infrastructures for CBDCs. Like I said, we need more details, but I'm going by what they said before. And throughout the year, they have said that did continue. All right. So now, keeping that in mind, I'm going to take a look at some numbers in correlation with Ukraine to find out what type of value could be moving across Stellar, if indeed Stellar is going to be utilized as the infrastructure for the digital currencies in the Ukraine. Then we'll know how it might affect that price. And this is just one place. We have a lot to go over, but let's just go over just a little tidbit here, okay? So now I'm looking at this number here. Ukraine agricultural production and trade. If you stayed up with the news, you know that Ukraine exports a lot of things. However they phrase that, whichever terminology they use. But there's a lot of value there. So if you're setting up infrastructure for CBDCs and the banks trust you, obviously I'm going to also believe that you can utilize the Stellar blockchain, which obviously XLM is ingrained in everything there. But you would utilize it for traceability. You're going to need traceability when you have massive amounts of exports going out, especially in a region like that where you're not sure if there's going to maybe be a blockade at some point. And, you know, you want to make sure people aren't stealing things. If your ships are going to be stuck for a minute, these types of things happen. So anyway, you're going to want traceability for those commodities, right? So here it says, agricultural products and Ukraine's most important exports, total value $27.8 billion. Let's click here. You know, and then also you have to keep in mind how they're going to allocate a lot of the money that's being sent there to ensure that they continue to not just survive, but like after everything is over, and maybe it might not, maybe things over there won't last too long, like the contention and the battle that's going on there. Let's say that ends at some point soon, then they're not only going to be trying to survive, they're going to be trying to thrive, right? And I think that it's going to make way for completely new systems to be instituted quite easily because they're going to have to out of necessity. However, let's take a look here. Ukraine agricultural production and trade. Fast facts. Bullet point 1. Ukraine is one of the world's top agricultural producers and exporters and plays a critical role in supplying oil seeds and grains. So that's what I was talking about before. To the global market. That's a lot of value. So people will be able to pay. Look. If Stellar is setting up all of these infrastructures for their banks, if that is indeed what is continuing to go on, and we need to get an update from Stellar on that, but that money that's coming from exporting all of that is going through that system. That would theoretically affect the price of XLM because it would be running across Stellar if they're paying in a digital currency, digital CBDC that's set up on Stellar. Every account must hold a minimum of lumens, but they can hold more. Transaction fees paid in lumens, but there's surge pricing. There's surge pricing when there's congestion on the network. And if you're going to have all of these people around the world, at some point, utilizing Stellar blockchain, there's going to be congestion, and that surge pricing is going to kick in, I would think, logically, right? So now let's continue on here. More than 55% of Ukraine's land area is arable land. Agriculture provides employment for 14% of Ukraine's population. Agricultural products are Ukraine's most important exports. In 2021, they totaled $27.8 billion. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of. What would it do to that XLM price if you have this type of value moving across the blockchain? What would it do to that price? You tell me. Accounting for 41% of the country's $68 billion. Oh, I want a piece of that. $68 billion in overall exports, right? Then they have a lot of different numbers here. I'll try to put on the screen somewhere this particular document, which is from the Ukraine Agricultural Production and Trade Foreign Agricultural Service, USDA, U.S. Department of Agriculture. All right. So now let's go on here. So then I did a Google search and I typed in how much is Ukraine worth total. So then it says economy of Ukraine. This is coming from Wikipedia, of course. Let me see if there's maybe a more reputable. So I have there's some contrasting numbers here. Okay, so Wikipedia is saying that the economy of Ukraine is worth $198.32 billion. Then I scroll down here and I guess that's pretty close because Trading Economics says that the gross domestic product GDP in Ukraine was worth $200.09 billion in 2021. So I guess those numbers are pretty close. They're pretty accurate. All right. Now, just imagine even a modicum of that moving across Stellar, right? And I think a lot more than a modicum would be moving across Stellar if they're indeed setting up all of these banking infrastructures. Once again, that if they're setting up all the infrastructures, that means that most of that value is going to be absorbed. Who knows how long it's going to take? I'm not putting a time stamp on it, but I'm just looking at it logically speaking. All right. So now let's continue on here. Okay, so then we have a little post from World Bank, and World Bank says this. In 2021, Ukraine received inflows of $18.2 billion. So it says here, remittances to Ukraine, which is the largest recipient in Europe and Central Asia, are expected to rise by over 20% in 2022. I'm going to expect there to be a little bit of a decline on that in 2023, 2024, but there's still going to be, it's still going to be pretty high, right? I don't think it's going to rise that high in 2023 or maintain that level in 2023, 2024. Hopefully that the battling over there is over and then you're just worried about rebuilding and such and reestablishing certain things. So just keep that in mind, that all of that in remittances, if what we're reading is accurate, and we're talking about $18.2 billion in remittances, which also in that very same article, it goes on to say that remittances, the payments on remittances are very high. So it actually says here, the cost of sending money to Ukraine are high, 7.1%. From just the Czech Republic, 6.5% from Germany, 5.9% from Poland, 5.2% from USA. So they're definitely going to be interested in utilizing the Stellar blockchain for those purposes in the future because the cost is going to be almost non-existent. So there's something to keep an eye on. These are some good numbers in my humble opinion, and it's just giving you an idea of some of the capital that could possibly be moving across the Stellar blockchain. And then you could do some calculations to determine for yourself what it might do to that price. All right. So now let's continue on here. So this is in correlation, or rather it's related to Algorand, because we've seen Algorand and offerings on Algorand getting deep in the medical industry, right? This, I believe Algorand is going to dominate when it comes to integrating with the medical industry. I really do. They've been doing a great job so far. But here's an article on Cointelegraph.com, and it's titled, How Smart Contracts Can Improve Efficiency in Healthcare. Isn't the timing interesting? And I said this before. Listen, I have very close people in the medical industry, and they tell me certain things. The medical industry needs DLTs for a lot of reasons, but they're going to go heavy with the DLTs. So any blockchain company, and I prefer the bank coins to be doing so, that gets in deep in the medical industry now, I believe is going to experience a nice boom of capital coming from the medical industry that will affect that price. It says, how smart contracts can improve efficiency in healthcare from insurance to telehealth. Smart contracts are finding use cases across the healthcare industry. Let's scroll down here. It says smart contracts and medical records. We've spoken about this, and I told you that there's a problem. They need to congeal all that information. Didn't I say that? Let's see if they say the same thing here. Medical records are an essential part of patient management. Smart contracts can be used to create patient profiles on the blockchain while allowing doctors and relevant medical practitioners to view past medical records. This would allow them to come up with better treatment procedures based on patients' past treatment history and subsequent outcomes. Here's a problem. It's a similar problem in the banking industry with a lot of the systems. And maybe if I have some medical people out there, maybe they can tell me if I'm wrong in the comment section or if I'm right. With a lot of the systems that they've been setting up when it comes to information, there is no interoperability. Interoperability is a major problem. Now, let's say one system in the medical industry decides to use Algorand, another decides to use Hedera. Well, there's seamless flow. Let's say, let's give it a little bit more interoperability. Let's say one decides to use Ripple. Let's say one decides to use Zenfin. Zenfin's so good at smart contracts. XDC is one of the best when it comes to smart contracts. Right up there with Algorand and Hedera. Zenfin, Algorand, it doesn't matter. Seamless interoperability. It's just the best flow ever. That's what we bring to the table. And that's why Algorand is going to win in the medical industry. But let's continue on here. Streamlining billing and collection issues. The lack of effective healthcare billing systems can present many challenges to healthcare institutions, especially when it comes to revenue cycle management. Errors related to billing and collections can hinder optimal service in the event that they cause major interruptions. Trustless blockchain networks incorporating smart contracts can mitigate many of these challenges by ensuring elaborate checklists are implemented to avoid common errors. We solve so many problems. We're going to take over. We're going to dominate. Speed and privacy. I'm just reading you a little bit from this. Listen, if you get a chance, go to Cointelegraph.com and check this out. It was on their front page, all right? And it's written by, if you need the author here, it's written by Elizabeth Gale, who did a great job on this. Great job. So I'm just reading these little pieces. This is an extensive article. It says, speed and privacy. Delayed medical information transfers sometimes lead to poor services. Smart contracts have the ability to change this by disseminating patient information across relevant departments and healthcare institutions. Some smart contract systems are able to generate unique and anonymized identifiers that can be used to identify each patient without revealing their identity. Anyway, I'm going to stop right there. There is a lot more to this. Make sure you go check it out on Cointelegraph. We're going to dominate. Algorand is winning in every possible way. They're one of the absolute best. I believe they're the best at advertising right now. They're setting up CBDC infrastructures, traceability. We're beloved in the States. Miami Accelerator. We're deep in Florida. Come on now. We're working with MIT. We're getting deep in the medical industry. We're dominating when it comes to NFTs. There isn't a more complete bank coin right now than Algorand. That's how I feel about that. And others don't really need to be complete because others, they're really like specialists. Algorand sort of is dominating every possible way and doing a great job. But there's like specialist bank coins like XRP, specialization, interbank payments, XLM, retail, cross-border remittances, things like that. But they're going to take a lot of other stuff as well, because we did see, and when it comes to Stellar, one of the things that the Bankhaus Vonderheit, the oldest bank in Europe, wanted to do was interbank payments. Well, we'll stay up to date on that and see if they actually do that. All right. But overall, I'm talking about all around the most balanced bank coin, Algorand. I expect Algorand's price to just catapult. It's gonna explode so easily. You saw what it did off of retail before. That's nothing compared to what it can do in the future. No guarantees. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not trying to convince you of anything. I'm simply just sharing my own thoughts, all right? Free your mind. Don't be controlled by anyone, all right? Now, let's continue on here. See what else we have here. So now we're going to get to a little bit of regular news, all right? Let's do a little bit of stock news. So it says here, this is from CNBC.com, says stocks fall on hotter than anticipated November jobs report. All right, let's just read this little tidbit here. Stocks slid Friday as investors digested stronger than expected labor data, which worry investors looking for signals that the Federal Reserve can soon begin slowing interest rate hikes. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 105 points, or 0.3%. The S&P 500 lost 0.6%, while the NASDAQ Composite shed 0.8%. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ are on track for modest weekly gains, while the Dow is on pace for a similarly minor loss. Non-farm payrolls increased 260,000 in November, a bigger gain than 200,000 increase expected by economists polled by Dow Jones. The unemployment rate held steady at 3.7%. Average hourly earnings also came in above expectations, jumping 0.6% compared with the prior month and 5.1% against the same month a year ago. Treasury yields jumped while stocks slid as investors digested data. It says, quote, the supply of workers remain low. The demand for workers remains high, said Michael Arone, chief investment strategist at State Street Global Advisors. Quote, that means wage inflation will remain sticky. I told you. Just because they say it peaked. And I don't necessarily agree with that. That doesn't mean it's going to come down. We will see. Of course, we'll wait for the actual numbers to come out, and I could be wrong. But that doesn't mean it's going to come out just because it peaked. What you can get is another version of stagflation, just at where it is now. It's possible. Quote, once again, that means wage inflation will remain sticky. And that's a problem for stocks going forward because it's likely to keep the Fed hawkish. Didn't I say this the other day? We'll see if the Fed is going to flip-flop again. They said they were going to be dovish. But look at this data. What are they going to do now? We'll see. They got everybody excited for there to be a very dovish Fed movement. We will see if that's going to occur. It says, because it's likely to keep the Fed hawkish rather than dovish. It was the final monthly employment report before the Fed's two-day meeting, December 13th to 14th, in which the central bank is expected to slow to a 50 basis point interest rate. Yeah, they're all betting on it. They said in that article we covered the other day, they said 91% believed this was going to happen. It says rate hike from 75 basis point hikes seen in recent months. I think it should have been 100. That's how I feel. Yeah, rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get it over with. Many market observers said the strong jobs data does change expectations for a smaller rate hike at the December meeting. All right. And we have a little bit of oil news. U.S. oil. This is from marketscreener.com. U.S. oil and gas rig count holds steady this week. U.S. energy firms this week left the number of oil and natural gas rigs operating unchanged for the first time since June. Energy services firm Baker Hughes Company said in its closely followed report on Friday. The U.S. oil and gas rig count, an early indicator of future output, remained unchanged at 784 in the week to December the 2nd. That puts the total rig count up 215 or 38% over this time of year. U.S. oil rigs held at 627 and gas rigs were at 155. With oil prices up about 7% so far this year after soaring 55% in 2021 and pressure from the government to produce more, several energy firms have boosted spending for a second year in a row in 2022 after cutting drilling and completion expenditures in 2019. It's so crazy. How do you ask them to increase when you're literally going against their industry, constantly saying how you're going to shut their industry down? I just don't understand. It's like, well, maybe I'm not supposed to understand if there's ignorance involved, right? You don't really want to take in ignorance, but there's so much hypocrisy. First, you tell them not to. You want to move away from oil, but then you say, hey, increase the oil. Then first, you shut off some pipelines. You shut off some pipelines only to then ask for the companies to increase output. None of this makes any sense. And it's so crazy. The people of the world and the people of the United States accept it. What? They might want to start asking some questions. Anyway, let's move on here. So now we have a little bit of housing news. Haven't I been saying all year? I called it at the beginning of the year. I said there were going to be some problems. We've reported throughout the years on the problems in the housing market. Let's hear what Fed Chair Jerome Powell has to say. Be careful. Protect yourself at all times. You do what you want to do, but I always suggest protecting yourself at all times. It's not advice. I'm just saying. I protect myself at all times and be careful where I store my value. It says, this is from builderonline.com, okay? It says, Fed Chair Jerome Powell says U.S. housing bubble formed during the, you know what I'm talking about. Speaking at a recent Brookings Institute event, Fed Chair Jerome Powell told the audience that the run-up in home prices during the housing boom qualifies as a housing bubble. Quote, coming out of the redacted, mortgage rates were very low. People wanted to buy houses. They wanted to get out of the cities and buy houses in the suburbs because of the redacted. So you really had a housing bubble. You had housing prices going up at very unsustainable levels. I agree with that. And overheating and that kind of thing. Quote, unquote, said Powell in a recent Fortune article. Quote, so now the housing market will go through the other side of that and hopefully come out in a better place between supply and demand. I agree with that. So yes, this is one of the first times I agree with almost everything that Powell has said. And I think that you're going to have a very rough patch to go through, but then things will stabilize. I think it'll be very good after, but we will stay privy and abreast on these matters, and we will adjust accordingly. All right. Now, let's go here. By the way, I want to say thank you to everybody who's been showing me love in the comment section lately. Thank you so much. You motivate me. You've been keeping me fired up to come back and do some more videos. I greatly appreciate that. So here we have an article on crude oil, right? So WTI crude futures fell to $80 per barrel on Friday as investors await the OPEC Plus meeting on Sunday. Oh, that's going to be interesting. Hold on to your blazers. Anyway, despite some speculation that major oil producers, this is why I was just saying that, they already made their intentions known. They let it be known, right? Let's read it. That major oil producers could cut output further. They already said they wanted to do it. They're just sticking to their guns. This is not, if they actually do it, this is not a surprise. And everyone should have been prepared. That major oil producers could cut output further. The cartel, I don't know why you're calling them that, the cartel is expected to stick to its latest target of reducing oil production by 2 million barrels per day. Meanwhile, the latest data from Baker Hughes showed U.S. oil rig count, we just went over that, an indicator of future production remained unchanged this week. Poland agreed to EU's deal for $60 a barrel price cap on Russian seaborne oil, allowing the bloc to move forward with formally approving the deal over the weekend. For the week, oil rose about 5%. All right. So that's where we're at right now. We'll be back, after Sunday to, probably discuss in one of the chapters was what happened at the OPEC meeting. We will see. It's going to be interesting. I'll tell you that much. It definitely is. And so we're going to end off with what? What are we going to end off with? Gold. Why? I'm going to drag you into this because gold makes us happy. So it says here. This is from marketwatch.com. It says here. This shift in the buck, dollar, and bonds is also good for another asset, gold. The yellow metal on Thursday, as measured by the COMEX front month futures contract, jumped 3.1% to recover the $1,800 an ounce level. That was the biggest daily gain since April 2020 and took bullion to its most expensive since August. The commodity strategy team at Bank of America, led by Francisco Blanche, thinks gold has further to go. I agree with that. I will agree with that. In a comprehensive 2023 commodity outlook note recently released, Bank of America says the price could exceed $2,000 an ounce next year. As of all the precious metals, quote, gold has the most to gain on a Fed pivot. I agree with that as well. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? Hey, I hope everybody out there is going to have a good weekend. I hope you had a good week. Stay healthy, stay safe, show love. If you have anybody that you love, you never know what's coming the next day. Make sure you show them some love out there. And hey, I'm showing you some love right now, man. I appreciate every single person out there. Thank you so much for being here with me. All right. So until next time, let's get to the money.